Welcome, everybody. I'm Vicki Weber with Behrman House, and I'm really glad you've joined us today. I have to say, here at Behrman House, we have been so impressed by the energy and the dedication and the heart that all of the Jewish educators have been putting into pivoting from in-person learning to online models this past spring, and now into planning for a set of really unknown scenarios as we look ahead to the coming school year. It seems almost certain that distance learning will be a big part of the mix this year. And I know many educators are struggling with how to plan for the scenarios that can change at any time. So to help you safeguard your curricular plans and keep learning goals in sight, no matter what combination of scenarios awaits this fall and beyond, we at Behrman House have been adding access to enhanced digital versions of many of our materials. We're releasing these enhanced titles every week. A bunch have already come out. There are more to come. And they include titles like Aleph Bet Quest, Hebrew in Harmony, Shalom Uvracha, Explorer's Bible, Israel It's Complicated, Let's Just Over the Holidays, and many more. I got more music. Now that's a happy thing. Over 40 of them all together to give you flexibility and also to make it easier to plan and, if necessary, to pivot. For those of you who are already using these materials, your teachers know them pretty well. You don't have to remake your curriculum in order to engage in remote learning in your setting. You and your teachers can concentrate on engagement techniques for remote learning. And if you're able to get back to in-person learning, these materials will go right along with you. So with that in mind, we also this summer wanted to create some opportunities for professional development that supports the new skills around engaging kids as you need them online. So we were really delighted to have crossed paths recently with Mallory, Penney, and Reggie Harris of Better Together Labs, which helps teams find ways to work together better. They too have been pivoting. They're taking their theater and improv-based workshops in a new direction to offer techniques for engaging with distance learners in this new era that we're all facing. Mallory has been an educator in youth theater for the past 8 years, while Reggie brings a tech background to the effort from places like Google and Dropbox. And together they use a variety of improv-based skills like careful listening, like holding space for one another's ideas in caring ways, and generally helping us learn ways to bring a lot of play into the learning space so we can set kids up to learn creatively, even as we must be interacting at a distance. So I'm going to turn this over to Reggie and Mallory for what I think will really be a productive professional development hour, and I'm so happy that you've joined us today. Take it away.
All right, thank you so much, Vicki. We are so thrilled to be here with all of you today. During the next hour, we're going to be doing a really highly interactive workshop. There are never going to be moments where you're put on the spot or anything, just so that you are assured that this will all be a collaborative thing. And we are really excited to bring you lots of really exciting high energy activities that work really well with students on Zoom. So I just want to mention that because we only have an hour, we are going to give you as much as we possibly can, and there is so much more beyond this. So if you really enjoy this and you're thinking, ooh, I just want more, I want more, let us know, because we have a lot more to offer than we can fit into this 1 hour workshop. So yeah, today, the way this is going to work is we are going to present this workshop to you, and it is being recorded. And the purpose for that is so that you can receive the recording later and look back on it. And you can see the way that we facilitate these activities so that you can facilitate them in the same way with your students. Yeah, and without further ado, I think we should just jump right into an activity because we have so much to do today. So I'm going to hand it over to Reggie to start us off with our first activity of the day.
Sure, thanks, Mallory. So this first activity that we're going to be doing is called Show Yourself If. And so before we get started, there are a couple things that we need to be aware of. We're going to be starting and stopping our video throughout this activity. And if you don't know how to do that already, you can find in the lower left-hand corner of your Zoom screen an icon that has, it's an icon of a video camera, and underneath it, it should say Stop Video, right? So if you click that once, it'll stop the video, and then if you click it again, it'll start your video up again, okay? So again, this activity is called Show Yourself If. I'm going to ask a series of prompts, and then I'm going to ask people to start their video or to show themselves if that prompt is true for them. Okay, so let's everybody start with our videos off. So go ahead and click that icon in the lower left-hand corner. All right. Okay, and I'm going to do that too. Okay, great. So let us start with our first question. If you live on the East Coast, let's say you consider yourself as an East Coaster, go ahead and show yourself. Start your video. Let's see, let's look at all of our East Coasters. Oh, we've got a lot of them on the call. Great, that's excellent. Excellent. Just take a look, a minute to just look at everybody. Okay, great, excellent. And go ahead and stop your video. Everybody stop your video. Wonderful, great, excellent. If you are on the West Coast, let's say you consider yourself a West Coaster, go ahead and start your video. Yay.
It's fun to wave to each other too.
Yeah, this is wonderful. Look at us. Yeah, there aren't as many, but look at us. We're holding down the fort.
Hi, Andrea. Haven't seen you in a while.
Oh, look at that. We're making connections already. That's excellent. Great, great. Everybody go ahead and stop our videos. Let's stop our video. And if you are on neither the West Coast or the East Coast, let's say you consider yourself in the sort of the middle of the country, go ahead and start your video. All right. Let's take a look at each other. All right. Excellent. Excellent. Go ahead and stop your video.
Oh, Reggie, your voice got very distant.
Oh, how's this? Nope.
You sound like you're far away.
Okay. All right. Well, Mallory, why'd you do the next?
You're back.
Oh, okay, great.
We went on an adventure. All right, I've got one too though. Okay, so everyone go ahead and stop your video again. So turn off your videos. Okay, the next one is, let's make it a little bit more related to the theme of the workshop here. So if you have ever attended or worked at a Jewish summer camp, go ahead and show yourself. If you've ever been to a Jewish summer camp or worked at one. Yeah, wow, almost everyone. That's awesome. Give each other a little wave. Hello, fellow summer campions. All right, wonderful. And let's go ahead and stop our videos again. We just have a couple more here. So if you consider yourself to be a cat person, go ahead and turn on your video. Yes, hello, cat people. Oh my gosh, there's not many of us. That's so funny. Okay, that's great. Let's go ahead and stop our videos. Now, if you consider yourself to be a dog person, people are waiting for that. They're like ready to go with turning on that camera. Hello to the dog people. How interesting. There are so many more dog people than cat people. Okay, it's so funny how that works. So now what I'd like to do is give you all a chance to also put some prompts out. So this can be done a couple ways. Reggie, do you want to explain how we could do this in a couple different ways? Or I'm happy to.
Oh yeah, sure, that's fine. So there are a couple of different ways that we can do it. We can either have people like just kind of raise their hand, and then you can start your prompt with "show yourself if," and then whatever you'd like. We can do it that way, and then you can also just put it in chat. You can put your prompt in chat, and then either Mallory and I will read it off for you. So again, these are two different ways that you could actually do this with your learners. Right, because there are going to be some learners that are going to, like, maybe the more outgoing ones will want to like be seen and say things out loud to the camera, and there's going to be some learners who are going to want to put it in chat and have it read for them. Either way is fine. I'm usually one of those people that would like to do it in chat, frankly.
And I'm someone that's like, oh, call on me. So, okay. Oh, amazing. Okay, so everyone, let's go ahead and turn off our cameras one more time, and I'll read this prompt aloud for us. So show yourself if you are a religious school director.
That was my prompt.
Oh, well, your prompt was chosen, Lynn.
Oh,
I love it.
I'm not muted. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I loved your enthusiasm. A religious school director. Okay, amazing. That's great. And go ahead and stop video. Now, if you are a religious school teacher, who are religious school teachers that are here with us today? Go ahead and start your videos. Okay, amazing, amazing. I used to teach religious school, so I'm not currently a teacher, but I feel like I can still turn on my camera for that prompt. Okay, lovely. All right. Oh, okay, our final one here. If you are both, you're wearing both hats as a director and an educator. Let's see who those people are that are wearing both the hats here. Turn on your videos. Wow, holding it down. I love it. Okay, amazing. Let's all go ahead and bring our cameras back on again. Gina, you look like you're saying something and I really want to hear you, but you are on mute. Okay.
I was just reading the chat box about a canter.
Ah, oh, and a canter too. Amazing. We've got quite a versatile crowd here. I love it. All right, great. So we're going to jump right into our next activity. So what I am going to do is Reggie is going to share his screen in just a moment so that you can see how he is going to create some breakout rooms. So we're not going to spend a ton of time showing these steps because we're providing you with a video that you can watch on your own. So in addition to the video of this recording, we are also linking in an email a video specifically about breakout rooms and how to create them. It's a very useful tool and you'll be receiving that about half an hour after this workshop ends, okay? So we have your back. We've got lots of resources coming to you in that email. So Reggie will show you the breakout room, and in the breakout room, we will do an activity, and this is called Show Yourself If. So Reggie, actually, let's show it in just a minute here. So I'm bringing us back for a moment so I can explain the activity. So the way this will work is we are going to put you in breakout rooms of about 3 people. And your goal in that breakout room is to find 3 things that you have in common that are not super obvious, okay? So try not to go for the whole, oh, we're all wearing glasses, okay? Try to dig a little bit deeper, challenge yourselves. You'll have about 5 minutes, maybe 4 or 5 minutes in that room to do this. So now Reggie will share his screen and show you how he is creating those breakout rooms.
Great, thanks, Mallory. And just for clarity, the name of this activity is 3 Things in Common. 3 Things in Common.
Oh, thanks.
So let me go ahead and show you how you do this. So to create breakout rooms, you're going to find the breakout room button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And it's going to be this icon here with 4 squares in the formation of a larger square. So go ahead and click that. And when you do that, you are going to see, interestingly, I don't have the options showing up for my breakout rooms, Mallory. Can you see that?
Oh, it doesn't come up yet. It'll come soon.
Oh, it won't.
After you're done. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, actually. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to have we want to set this up so we have about 3 to 4 people per room. So ideally 3, but 4 if we have like an odd number. So I'm going to just increase the number of rooms here until it reads at the bottom of that window 3 to 4 participants per room. Actually, we have a really good number here. So let's do 7 rooms. Okay, and I'm going to click create breakout rooms here. So once I click that button, you'll see here that it's going to automatically populate the breakout rooms with everybody here. You see that they're numbered breakout room 1 to breakout room 7. Okay, and so I'm going to just set up the options really quickly here. I usually have this checked, move all participants into breakout rooms automatically, right? So that's when you click the open all rooms button, it's going to send everybody there as soon as you do that versus having to making them having to click an additional button before they actually go. And I feel like that's just easier for everybody involved. I'm going to do allow participants to return to the main session at any time. We're all adults here, so that's fine. Like you may not want to do that with your learners, depending on your situation. I'm going to click close breakout rooms automatically after, I think we're going to give you about, let's say like 5 minutes or so. So yeah, and again, like this isn't, when the 5 minutes elapses, it actually doesn't close the breakout rooms automatically. It just gives you a prompt asking you if you want to, and then there's a button that you click if you want to close them. And then after you close them, it's going to give a countdown to people in the breakout room. And this one I'm going to set for 60 seconds, so you're not like jolted out of the experience too quickly. So from there, yeah, we've got our breakout rooms, and we're going to do this sort of the way that Mallory mentioned, right? You're going to look for 3 things in common, things that are not necessarily obvious, things that you can't tell just by looking at the other person. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and open all the breakout rooms, and we'll see you back here in about 5 minutes or so. Okay? Great. Have fun.
Reggie, is that your music?
Yeah, it is actually. So I'll probably let that happen.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Alrighty. So what I'd like you to do now is go ahead and go into the chat and type in what 3 things you had in common with your group. Oh, someone's got some questions. Yeah, so here's what we're gonna do. I would love it if you could write your questions down on a piece of paper. We will have time at the end, and if we run out of time, Reggie and I are happy to stay an extra 10 minutes or so to answer any questions you might have. I did get one question in the breakout room that I'd really quickly like to address, and that is, you are able to use breakout rooms even if you're not using a paid Zoom account, okay? They do exist, but you have to set up your settings to enable them. So Reggie and I made a video for you, which you will be receiving in that resource email in about half hour after the workshop. And it's a video of us going through and setting up all of our Zoom settings that will work really well if you are an educator. So we've set them up so that you know what settings you need as an educator. I do have a question. There's a phone number in the group. I'm wondering, is someone here that called in, or is this someone who's just here on a phone? Is someone is number?
It's Sarah, and she's on mute right now. She unmutes herself, but she couldn't get in for some reason through the login information, so she called in from her phone.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for letting me know. Great. Nicole, are you in touch with Sarah? Like if I sent you an updated link?
She was in my group, my breakout group. So
okay. So that's
we were able to figure that out, but I couldn't really help her because she needs the, I think she needs the link somehow again.
Sure. Okay, no problem. We're happy to keep someone on a phone. Okay, so everyone go ahead and open up your chat and take a look at what other people had in common. Check out all of these differences. So yeah, to do breakout rooms, you do have to be the host. Just one more little thing about breakout rooms. All right, awesome.
As the host though, can't you enable somebody else on the call while you're on the call to have the ability to do the breakout rooms?
Yes, if you are the host, you can make another person the host. So only the host can make breakout rooms, but you can switch whoever is the host.
Not a co-host, right? Just the host?
Co-hosts do not have the ability to make breakout rooms.
Right.
Only hosts. Yep, absolutely. So those are some great questions. And we are going to move right along to our next activity, but like I said, happy to stay and answer more questions at the end. Just write them down so you don't forget them, all right? Alrighty here. So we're gonna play a game called Word Ball. So this game is a great activity to do early on in your session with your learners because it really gets us like awake and being spontaneous and really gets our like brain firing. So Reggie and I are going to show a quick example of how it works, and then we are going to explain a tool, which is how to rename yourself so that we can put a number in front of your name. And that's how we create an order on Zoom. We're going to essentially create a virtual circle very shortly here, okay? So the way it works is I'm going to come up with a word, and I'm going to throw it to Reggie. And by doing so, I'll just throw it right into the camera, and I'll say the word. Then Reggie will catch the word that I threw to him and repeat it. Then he's going to say the first word that comes to mind and throw it right back to me. So Reggie and I will just show you a quick demo, just the two of us back and forth, okay? Table.
Table, chair.
Chair, lasagna.
Lasagna, pasta.
Pasta, cheese.
Cheese, mozzarella.
Mozzarella, asparagus.
Asparagus, artichokes.
Artichokes, butter.
Butter, milk.
Milk. Okay, great. So it's kind of fun to see like where your brain goes in those moments. What's the first word you think of? Another thing that we really encourage our participants to keep in mind is every word is the right word. So try not to wait until you have the perfect word. This is about saying the first thing that comes to mind and being really spontaneous, okay? So the way this is gonna work is we're gonna put you in small groups again. It's gonna be a new breakout room with different people. And in order for this to go smoothly, we are going to have you rename yourselves with a number in front of your name, and this will help us establish an order. So I will share my screen so that you can see how I'm going to do this. All right, so it's very simple actually to rename yourself. You just click on your own video box and a list of options will pop up and you go right down to where it says rename, okay? Then you click on rename, and what I'm gonna do is just put a 1 in front of Mallory Penney and click enter. And now if you look at my box, it says 1 Mallory Penney, right? So it's a great tool. We will be using this renaming several times throughout the workshop today. So what I'm going to do is we are going to put you in random groups of 3. And let's see, Reggie, I think everyone take a moment and try to rename yourself just to make sure we know how to do that function before we send you away. You could just put a random number in front of your name right now just to make sure that we all have an understanding of how to do this. If you are on a phone, that is totally fine. Sarah, we've got your back. And what we're gonna do is someone in your group will just say, hey, Sarah, you're gonna be number 3. And then Sarah can still play this, right? So anyone on a phone can still play this. They just repeat the word that they received and say a new word. So if you do get someone in your group that doesn't have the ability to use a camera, let's just make sure we're taking care of them, okay? Reggie, maybe you can even put me in that group if you could do some fancy footwork so that I can really support. Okay? Amazing. Everyone's got numbers. Mark's number 49. Maybe it's your lucky number. I'm curious about the connection, but we'll talk about it later. All right, very cool. Yes, everyone has a number. Amazing. Magnificent. All right. So Reggie is going to put us in groups of 3. And when we're in there, here's your goal. You are going to quickly establish an order. So someone will just say, hey, I'll be number 3. Someone else, I'll be number 2, and I'll be number 1, okay? That's your first step, is just pick an order. Doesn't matter so much. Rename yourself with the appropriate number. And then we're gonna play a round of word ball. So whoever is number 3 will be throwing their ball to number 1. Does that make sense that we're going in a circle? All right. And if ever you're stuck and you need help, there is a panic button in the breakout room. It says, help me. And we will be there. We've got your back. We'll be there to support you. All right. Any questions about this particular exercise before we go off to play it for a few minutes? Amazing. All right, Reggie, whenever you are ready.
Okay, great. I've set the breakout rooms to expire in about like 3 minutes or so. So you're going to have a little bit of time to set up and then play. Okay, so I'll see you back in a few minutes.
Thanks. Hello, hello, hello.
There's one more thing I wanted to say about this activity, and any sort of virtual circle activity where you're having people rename themselves with numbers and are going around in the circle, is that it's a good instruction to give people is just to be very, very aware of the person that comes right before them. So they're not like searching the screen and trying to figure out, you know, who they're coming after. So that's a really helpful tip.
Thanks. That's great. All right. Well, I had a lot of fun in my room. I hope you all did as well. I was talking to one of the people in my room about how you could absolutely make this like a Jewish theme. Like my partner suggested, oh, what if you start with the word... Sorry, I'm going to mute some people. What if you start with the word nun? Like, and then someone catches that and they're like, nun, noodle. You know, it doesn't have to stay within that theme, but it's fun to kind of put little threads in there. Or perhaps you do want to make it a little more restricted and you say, okay, the theme is Passover. Let's play a whole round of word ball with just using Passover as our theme. So that's kind of fun. I would recommend opening it up with a little bit more of like a looser version and then segueing into that so that you get people warmed up and then you put those restrictions in. So there's lots of really fun things you can do with that. We're going right into another game that works really, really well for Jewish education as well. Reggie, would you like, I'm going to paste it in the chat. Why don't you go ahead and start introducing it?
Yeah, sure. So this activity that we're going to be introducing to you is called Story Spying. And it is a really great way to keep your learners engaged and being creative. And what everybody is going to do together is create a fun story. And so the story spine, which Mallory just pasted into chat, is a basic outline of a story. And you'll see that the lines are numbered from 1 to 9, starting with Once Upon a Time and ending with the moral of the story is. And so this is another virtual circle exercise. You're going to have everybody rename themselves in sequential order. And then the
Yeah.
participants in order are going to start off. Well, the first person is going to start off with a once upon a time, and then they're going to fill in whatever they'd like, right? And then the next person is going to come in and then add to that story. And every day, something else. But one day, something, so on and so forth, until you get to line number 9, which is the moral of the story is. Right. So, what Mallory and I can do is we're going to model this for you. We're going to show you how this is done, at least between the two of us, and then we're going to open it up to the rest of you. We're going to ask some of you to help volunteer, participate. All right. So let's take it away. Yeah. Why don't you start?
Okay, sure. Okay. So once upon a time, there was a freshly made matzo ball named Leo.
And every day, Leo would look for other matzo balls to join him.
But one day, it was actually Passover, and Leo finally had his chance to get eaten.
Because of that, Leo sat in the kitchen, waiting anxiously with his friends to be eaten.
Because of that, he was so excited that he started sinking down to the bottom of the soup.
And because of that, he started worrying, what if they never find me and I never get eaten?
Until finally, the mom of the house went in with her really big ladle and scooped all the way down at the bottom and scooped Leo up.
And ever since then, the mom made sure to get a really big ladle to scoop matzo balls.
And the moral of the story is you will never be left out if you are a matzo ball. You will always get eaten.
Right.
All right. Yeah, we could like do a little celebration at the end. It's kind of fun. So I love this activity for so many reasons. And I mean, the possibilities are endless. You could discuss that week's Torah portion and then turn around and say, okay, let's do a story spine about it now. How does this relate to you in your life, right? Or you could do another, like Simchat Torah. Let's do a story spine about that. Or just any, the possibilities are endless as far as application into your own Jewish education and teaching. So without further ado, we are going to demonstrate this here in the big group, and we need some people to help us. So Reggie and I are going to be in it, and we need 7 other people that want to try and add a line to a story. If you want to volunteer, raise your hand. Judith, rename yourself. You're already number 3. Perfect. Mark, I'm going to have you be number 4. Lynn, will you rename yourself as number 5? Oh, I need 4 more people. 4 more people. Good. Marcy, 6. Nicole is 7. Miriam, 8. We need a lucky number 9. Oh, Lisa. Great. Lisa is going to be number 9. All right. So everyone take a moment to rename yourselves. And just so we can really see everyone, how about if you're not participating in this activity, just stop your video for a moment so we can really put the focus on those that are. All right. So I'm just going to look around and make sure we've got our order. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, and Lisa, I'm going to rename you as number 9. Lisa's video isn't working right now, which is totally fine. She is with us in spirit, and we will trust that she will give us the moral of the story when we get to her part, okay? So what I like to do, if you don't already have it up, is put the chat up on your screen. Definitely use that guide. We just gave you this new tool. We don't expect you to have it memorized by any means, okay? So I will start off our story. Here we go. Once upon a time, there was this really cool guy, and his name was Moses.
And every day, Moses would look upon the land.
Oh, I'll mute you, Judith.
He would gaze upon the hills and the valleys, but was afraid to venture forward.
Mm.
Because of that, he sent out some scouts to find out more about the land.
And the scouts were very nervous about what they would encounter along the way.
Good. And then Marcy, start with a because of that.
Because of that, it took them a while to come back to Moses.
Mm.
Until finally they made their way back to Moses with some exciting information.
Good. Oh, you are muted? Yep, there you go. And ever since
And
then,
ever since then, the Jewish people had a goal in mind.
good. And Lisa, will you give us the moral of the story?
The moral of the story is to always pay attention to Moses and to come back when you're called.
All right, I love it. Good. All right. So we did one that was like really specifically Jewish themed because I drove that, right? And so you have the power to drive that if you make yourself number one in the story, okay? So it's also really fun to just leave it open as well and get really creative. It doesn't have to be super thematic. Okay, great. Let's all bring our videos back. So unfortunately, as is the nature of this workshop today, we have many things we want to show you and equip you with. And so we're kind of moving a little bit quickly here. So if you didn't get a chance to participate, I apologize, but pull this out, play this with family and friends. I use this all the time in just about any setting you could think of, okay? So I want to just show us a little trick here. So when we come back into the room and Reggie has music playing, there is a way that we can get our sound quality to sound really good. So I am going to share my screen so you can see how I'm doing it. All right, so the way that I'll do this is I will go down to the share screen on the bottom of my toolbar. It's green. And when I click on that, there's the basic here, which is how I could share a document that's on my computer, for example. If I go to advanced though, this is the sweet spot right here. So advanced, there's this button here that says music or computer sound only, okay? And then I push down here where it says share. And when I do that, what happens is the music is coming directly into the Zoom call. Because if you don't do that, the music sounds really spotty. Because what happens is it's coming out of your speakers and back into your microphone again. So it sounds really tinny and weird. So that hack right there will help you to have really good sounding music and other sounds that you want to use during your session. All right, so that's just our little tip we want to throw in there along the way. And the next thing we're going to do here is move right along to chemical reaction. Chemical reaction. All right, so the way this is going to work is we are going to get sent into random breakout rooms of 2 people. Our goal is in 30 seconds, okay, 30 seconds, we are going to come up with a team name. And it can either be 1 word or 2 words, just a fun team name, 1 to 2 words. And that's all we're going to do to start. So Reggie is going to create some breakout rooms for us. And you might get put in a group of 3 if there's an odd number of participants, and that's totally fine. So that will be our first instruction, and then we'll hear about what to do next.
Great, excellent. See you all in a bit.
All right, amazing. Oh, we're not all back quite yet. All right. Great. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. So what I'd like you to do now is go ahead and rename yourself as your team name. Rename yourself as your team name. So just as a reminder, you just click on your own video image. If you're on an iPad, it's a little bit more complicated. If you're on a tablet, there's a button that says more, and if you click on more, then you'll see the option for renaming. I'm also able to rename you if you need some help with that. So everyone go ahead and rename yourselves as your team names. Amazing. Okay, now it's time for step 2. We are going to go back into breakout rooms of 2 people. And now you have a goal to take both of your team names and come up with a new name that is kind of a mashup of the 2. Or another way of thinking this is a name that falls in between the 2. So for example, if, oh, I'm just gonna mute a few people here. So for example, if let's say your name is eggs and someone else is flour, then maybe together you make cake, okay? You see how you're kind of taking these 2 things and putting them together? Another example is if someone is the zoo in someone else's spatula, then maybe you become platypus. Okay? So think creatively here and try to find something that's halfway in between. There's no wrong answer. Everything that you decide on is the right answer, okay? We're only gonna have 30 seconds this time, so really get to it right away, all right? Reggie, you ready for us?
I'm just about there. I'm just moving some people around who ended up together in the same room as before.
Oh, great, yeah.
Yeah.
Fresh people.
This person here to breakout room 3. Okay, and I think you're all set. Great. So, yep, see you back in a minute.
Okay. All right, great. Welcome back. Go ahead and rename yourselves as your new team name. Rename as your new team name if you have not done that yet. All right. Ooh, I'm looking at the time. Okay. Let's do one more, Reggie, and then I think we need to just explain how the rest of the game goes. So we have time for our last activity.
And okay, great. And I'm going to just give folks, again, just a minute.
Okay. Great. So we're going to do one more iteration of this, one more mashup of our names with a different person. All right.
All right, here we go.
All right. All right, let's go ahead and rename ourselves one last time here. Make sure your name is up to date. All righty. And everyone take a moment, just look around at other people's names just to see like what showed up. So just take a moment, look at other people's screens here. Ran out of time. I love that. Amazing. Okay. So the way that this would continue is I would encourage you to actually do like 3 more iterations because there's something magical that happens when we get to that 5th time when we're like, okay, how can we possibly combine these 2 things? And that's when people really dig deep into their imagination and come up with some really interesting things. And then the final step of this, which we're just going to talk through rather than do, is you would put people back into the most recent room they were just in. So if you just did 5 rounds of this and that's where you want to end it, you put the people back in the same room that they were just in. And together, that partnership has 3 minutes to come up with a super secret handshake that only they know, okay? Their own handshake or their own sort of a greeting. So Reggie's showing some examples of what you can do. It's really fun to use this window that we're in. So Reggie's showing an example of how you can kind of pop in with just your hands. I am a big fan of like the slowly coming in and looking around kind of a thing, right? Or dancing your way off screen. So there's really endless possibilities. So the 2 people would come up with their own greeting together. Then everyone comes back into the main room and those 2 people show their greeting or handshake to everyone and then teach everyone how to do it. So it's really nice. It gives them a sense of ownership. They created this thing together and now they get to teach it. It's a really powerful tool to use with your learners. All right. I see people taking some notes down. I love it. This will all be typed up too. We are sending all of these things to you. Oh, how long would it take? You know, I would allow about a good 12 minutes for this. You could even do 15. I mean, I think it's a good way to really, you know, allow learners to kind of have fun with this. The thing that I love about this game is it's very cerebral. It's almost like a puzzle. And so it engages other types of learners. You have some learners that might be more extroverted and really into doing physicality and stuff. And you have some learners that are a little bit more introverted. And so a game like this really appeals to those folks that like a good puzzle, that are a little bit more heady in how they approach things. This can be played with any age group. I've played this with my 2nd and 3rd grade. I teach theater on the side, so I've played this with kids that age. And I've also done this with adults. We do this when we do team building workshops with adults all the time. So there's literally any age range. If you go to really, really young kids, I mean, you could do it, but it'll get a little bit harder to explain probably. All right. So without further ado, we've got one more activity we're going to show you, and then we're going to stick around for a Q&A. We're happy to answer any questions that you have at the end. So we're just going to show a very quick example of this game. It's one of my absolute favorite games, and it's called 10-Second Scene. okay? And so the way this works is the teacher will, so I, in this case, will give a theme, okay? And after I give a theme, I will give participants 10 seconds to pose as something that might be in the theme. So if I say beach, the theme is beach, sure, you could be a person that's, like, you know, sunbathing, or you could be the sun in the sky, or you could be the waves, or you can be an umbrella, or you can be like a crab. You know, the possibilities are endless. So really encourage your learners to think beyond just playing humans with this game. And another thing I love about this game is it could directly implement some Jewish themes as well. So you could say, okay, you know, we are now gonna, you've got 10 seconds to show me what Hanukkah looks like to you. And then everyone has 10 seconds to pose as something related to that. Once again, you could do this activity after studying that week's Torah portion. You could allow people to come in and pose as something that feels relevant to the portion to them. So we'll just show a very quick example. And we do have a video of us explaining this game more in depth, which will be in the email that you'll be receiving. Just for the sake of time, we figured that was the best approach. So I am going to ask for a few volunteers. Are there 4 people that would be willing to try this out for us to see how this works? I know it's a little unclear. People are like, I don't quite know what I'm signing up for. Okay, we've got sweeties in the pink. We've got tomato sauce in the orange. We've got wedding topper with the headphones on. Anyone else? Reggie, I can have you play as well. Okay, let's do those. Oh, sweeties in the other pink. Amazing, you're both matching. All right, so those folks whose names I just said, why don't you go ahead and stay on screen? Everyone else stop your video for a moment. Okay, amazing. So here's how this is going to work. I'm going to give you a theme, and you are going to go ahead and I'll give you 10 seconds to pose in that theme. Hey, Meredith, welcome. If you stop your video for just a moment, we're just showing an example of a game, okay? So I'm going to give you a theme, and then you're going to pose, and then I'm going to show you the next step, okay? So let's say the theme is, let's do enchanted forest, whatever that looks like to you, okay? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and freeze! Freeze, right. Amazing, okay. So what I'm gonna do from here is I'm going to try and decipher what you are, okay? So wedding trooper, okay, wedding trooper, you look like you are a forest, a tree, are you a tree?
Yes, sort of.
Amazing. What is it specifically? Tell me what you're specifically envisioning.
What am I envisioning? I'm envisioning a tree with hands that can reach out.
Ooh, a tree with hands that can reach out. I love it. Okay, and sweeties in the lighter pink. Are you another tree that's reaching up into the sky? You're on mute, so you have to let me know.
Yes, actually a tree going up into the skies, way into the skies.
Way into the skies. I love it. Okay, and the other sweeties, you look like you're kind of a creepy thing lurching down at people because the angle.
I am a tree that's branches can like
grab,
down.
A tree whose branches can grab down. Amazing. And tomato sauce? Show me your pose.
It was a tree acting as arms.
Ooh, a tree acting as arms. Amazing. Okay, great. Let's give a hand to our volunteers here. Thank you so much. Beautiful, beautiful. Good. Everyone can turn on your videos again. So what I like to do with this game is have fun guessing, because kids love it when you try to guess what they are. And oftentimes they don't want to tell you. They want you to keep guessing, okay? So what I'll do in those situations is I'll start being really silly. So maybe I'll say, oh, you're not a tree. Oh, okay, maybe you're a lizard. No? Ooh, you must be a toaster. You're a toaster in the enchanted forest. And they get a huge kick out of it. And if ever you're really, really stumped and you have no idea what they are, you can use language like, oh, you've totally stumped me. What is it? Or you can use language such as, all right, everyone, it's time for the big reveal. What is Joshua? So something like that feels like very present-y will help them to feel like, oh, I didn't do it the wrong way. She couldn't figure out what I was, right? So it's really important to maintain that positive attitude and that sense of silliness when you're running this activity. Oh man, where did the time go? Okay, well, we are officially out of time, unfortunately. I think Vicky has a couple things to say. And then if you have any questions at all, please stick around. Reggie and I are happy to talk to you about any of those questions that we have, that you have.
So thanks everyone for joining us. As Mallory indicated, they will be sending out to you descriptions of the activities done today. We will be sending you a recording of this session so that you can take another look and figure out ways that this might translate into your settings. And we'll be posting these on behrmanhouse.com as well. And we are looking for other webinars to do in the future. And we're trying to put together with Mallory and Reggie a way to maybe bring this to more teachers. So we're very interested in your feedback. We will be getting in touch to find out what kinds of things would really be helpful. Thanks a lot for your time today.
Thank you so much. All right, who's got the questions? Lay them on us. Garden City, New Jersey?
Yes.
Sorry.
That would be me, otherwise known as Mindy.
Hi, Mindy. Sorry about that.
That's quite all right. So I have a few.
Okay.
How does the host or the teacher send prompts into the chat room?
Okay, great. So when you are doing breakout rooms, there is something at the bottom that says broadcast message. All right, so you won't be able to see it right now in this moment, but just trust that it's there. So after your breakout rooms are all open and your participants are in rooms, there is something on the bottom of the breakout room menu that you'll have that says broadcast message to participants. And all you do is click on that, type in your message and click enter. And you just have to trust that it works. It's a little scary because you don't see the message as the host, which really bothers me. That's one thing I wish that Zoom would fix, because it gives me assurance to see the message, to know that other people received it, but it does work. And people in every breakout room will see that message.
Okay. How do you save the chats? I mean, I saw that it said save chat and I did that, but then what?
Save chat. So what that does is it just saves it as a file on your computer. So if you want to look back on it later, you have it there.
And where does it go?
Just for me, it just saves automatically on my desktop. When you exit the Zoom meeting, it'll just download and then it should just pop up for you. It's pretty accessible.
Okay. And how do you post and retrieve recordings? And how do you did a poll at the very beginning, and how did you post that?
Sure. So the recordings, the way it is when you're the host, you have something on your bottom toolbar that says record. It will either tell you that you can record directly onto your computer or that you can record onto the cloud. You've got two options. So just click on what you want and it will continue recording the whole time unless you push stop record. Okay. And then remind me what the second question. I'm sorry.
How do you post the poll that you started with at the very beginning?
Right. So that's actually a really weird, circuitous route kind of a thing. So you actually have to go to zoom.us. That's like your home base for where all of your settings are. It's confusing because we all have the Zoom app as well, but the app doesn't allow you to do nearly as many things as if you just go to zoom.us, okay? So what you do is after a meeting is set up, you go into your meetings, you click on the meeting, and then if you scroll to the bottom of the page that has that meeting displayed, it will say at the bottom, no polls have been added yet. Would you like to add a poll? And then you say, yes, please. And then you can either do single choice or multiple choice polls, okay? And it will save it into that meeting. So it's a per meeting basis that you set up the poll, okay?
So set up the meeting first and then go into the meeting where all the options are and then find poll.
It'll be all the way at the bottom and you set up the poll there. And then when you're actually in the meeting, it simply shows up on your toolbar and you just say poll, yes, please go for it, right?
Excellent. Thank you so incredibly much.
No problem. Gina.
So great questions. You already answered two of mine. I think I know the answer to this, but could you just clarify, how do you technically have it that the music plays when people enter?
Yeah, no problem.
Is it already opened on your computer, or how does that work?
Yeah, so you open up YouTube or Spotify or whatever music device that you're playing music from. So if you go, I'm not going to, actually I'll screen share one more time just to show you this. So now everyone can see my Zoom screen, right? So right down here on the bottom where my cursor is, you see where it says share screen, that green button?
Right, you went to advanced.
Yep, there in advance, and then boom, music or computer sound only.
Right, but my question is, does the music have to already be opened, or is it already open somewhere on your toolbar? Is the YouTube video, let's say, should open on the toolbar or something?
Yeah, absolutely. So you do have to have YouTube open, and then when you click share sound, it's not going to automatically start your YouTube. You still have to go to YouTube and click play, and it will just come through in a more clear way.
Okay, one other quick question.
Yeah.
When you do that once upon a time, that 9 prompt story,
yeah,
what is this will not work with little kids, in my opinion, as an educator for 25 years doing little kids. When I say little, I mean preschool, I mean real little kids, okay? But how do you execute this smoothly? Because I could see my kids going, wait, what am I supposed to start with? What?
So I would modify it and I would say, we're going to create a story altogether. And what we're going to do is, Frankie, you're going to start the story. And then at some point, I'm going to pause Frankie and I'm going to hand it over to the next person. So Frankie might say, once upon a time, there was a little boy who wandered down the street. Okay, good. Stop right there. What's the next thing that happens, Toby, or, you know, whoever, and then they can add something on. So you're controlling the whole thing that way. There's not a specific prompt for them to have to follow, and they're still able to create a story altogether.
So just so you know, I've done this in person, but every other person had to do, fortunately it started, then the next sentence is unfortunately. Then fortunately, unfortunately.
With little kids, it's actually nice to have story screens. If you take a story and you have the pictures there so they could use those as prompts, and you could flip the page when it's time for the next person to tell. They don't have to always, but they're creating what's happening, and that's a lot of fun.
Okay. Thank you very much.
That's great. It's a great idea. Nicole?
Quick question again about the poll. Like, do you share the poll with the group? Can you share the final results of the poll with everyone? How do you do that?
Absolutely. So when we close the poll, it either says, it'll say, would you like to share the results? So we could have absolutely said, yes, there they are right there.
Oh, 50%. That's interesting.
Yeah, so it looks like most of the people fell on being somewhat comfortable, a little bit less, or very comfortable or comfortable. No one was here for the first time. That was helpful for us, right? Because all of a sudden we were able to pivot and say, okay, we're not going to spend a bunch of time on teaching people how to mute and unmute themselves and do these other things. We can go on and you know, skew this a little bit more advanced. Great. Any other questions that people have?
And did you make the poll yourself previously and just like a share screen type of thing?
No, so polls are built into Zoom. You don't need to share your screen actually. So Reggie, if you could share your screen and show us in your toolbar where it is, that would be helpful.
Great.
Thanks so much.
Sure thing. So, all right. So as you can see, let me just actually get rid of this poll. If you can see my screen, you'll see that towards the bottom, right, we've got the polling button here. So this shows up if you've created a poll for the particular meeting. In this case, we did. So it's here, and then I go ahead and click it. And so when you first click it, because I've already shared it, the screen is a little bit different, but basically when you first open the poll, it'll ask you if you want to launch it. It'll be down here, a button that says launch poll. So you launch the poll, and I could actually show this to you right now. I'm going to relaunch the poll, okay? And now that I've relaunched the poll, you'll see the poll in front of you, and then you can, you know, answer the poll however you like. And then when you've gotten all the responses that you want, and you feel like it's time to move on, you can then click End Poll, which I'll do right here. End Poll. And then we can see the results that people, it looks like people have already filled out some stuff. 6 people filled out things. And then from here, again, you can see Share Results, right? And that's the button I click to share the results with all of you. See that? And then Relaunch Poll, right? Which is the button that I just clicked.
Right, but how did you initially make the poll?
It's at zoom.us, so you have to set it up in advance, yeah.
Got it, thank you.
So, no problem. And then the other thing is that video we're sending out, Reggie and I sat down and set up all of our settings for how an educator typically would want all of their settings set up. So it's kind of confusing, but polls are something that you have to enable in your settings just like breakout rooms are something you have to enable in your settings. So if you watch that video, we go through and we set up all the things you want to set up. I would highly recommend making sure that your settings are like that. Once you do it one time, they are set like that forever. So you don't have to do it every time. Okay? Yeah, Nicole?
2 questions. One, I know it's anonymous that we can't see, but does the host see who's answering what, or is it anonymous for everybody, for the host too?
Right. So you check a box that says anonymous, and we always do that with our polls because we don't really have a use for looking back and seeing who answered them. But if you want to deep dive into polls and use them to collect data and do other things like that, I would actually probably have to refer you to a video on YouTube. I haven't used polls for that reason, other than just doing a quick kind of anonymous survey. So I don't actually know the deep depths of what you can do with polls, but I think there's a lot more that you can do that we haven't explored.
I forgot my second question, so.
Okay.
Let's just move on.
No problem. Anyone else have anything? All right. Well, if something comes to you, we'll stick around for another minute while we're saying goodbye to everyone here, okay? Thank you all so much for coming and playing with us and for your wonderful energy. It was great to have all of you here.
Thank you. This was great. It was really good. Thank you.
Awesome. 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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.